the glamorous debut, launching a revolution on wheels. Have you ever wondered how a gleaming symbol of American progress, meant to whisk travelers across the nation's expanding highways in ultimate comfort, could spiral into a mechanical nightmare that nearly derailed an entire industry? Back in 1954, Greyhound unveiled the Scenicruiser, a towering bus that captured imaginations with its futuristic lines and promises of adventure. Designed by the legendary Raymond Loewy, it stood 40 feet long, with a split-level interior that elevated passengers for unmatched vistas. Air conditioning kept things cool, an onboard restroom added convenience, and it embodied the post-war optimism of a country hitting the open road. But hidden flaws simmered beneath that polished chrome, ready to erupt into chaos no one anticipated. What started as a triumph soon exposed cracks in the dream, leading to breakdowns, bitter disputes, and a desperate overhaul that changed everything. Building the hype, from prototypes to public excitement. The buzz around the Scenicruiser's launch was electric, fueled by years of anticipation. Greyhound had been teasing a revolutionary coach since the late 1940 seconds, drawing on Loewy's flair for streamlining trains and cars. This wasn't just another bus, it was a statement, born from prototypes like the GX 1-inch 1947, a radical double-decker that tested wild ideas like air suspension and dual power plants. By 1953, the GX2 prototype hit the roads, lobbying states to allow 40-foot beasts on highways previously capped at 35 feet. Greyhound's executives envisioned fleets dominating the inner-city routes, outshining trains and planes in an era when the interstate highway system was just breaking ground under Eisenhower's push. Passengers flocked to it, drawn by ads promising superhighway cruising with panoramic windows that turned every trip into a sightseeing tour. Families piled in for cross-country jaunts, businessmen relaxed in the upper deck's 33 seats, while the lower level's 10 spots offered a quieter nook. It even featured innovative touches like tinted glass to cut glare and a public address system for announcements. Yet, as the first 500 units rolled out in 1954, subtle signs of trouble flickered overheating on test runs, odd vibrations that mechanics dismissed as teething pains. Little did anyone know, these were omens of a deeper unraveling. The powertrain promised twin engines and hidden risks. At the heart of the Scenicruiser's appeal lay its ambitious twin-engine setup, a bold engineering gamble that aimed to conquer America's varied terrain. Two Detroit diesel 4-71 inline-4 engines, each pumping 160 horsepower, worked in harmony through a fluid coupling system, delivering a combined 320 horses for smooth acceleration and hill-climbing prowess. Greyhound touted it as foolproof. If one engine faltered, the other could carry the load, keeping schedules intact. The 6-speed transmission, with its manual 2-speed clutch, promised versatility, shifting seamlessly from city streets to open interstates. On paper, it was genius, allowing the bus to maintain 60 miles per hour cruises while sipping fuel efficiently. Early drivers marveled at the power surge on flat runs, feeling the rig surge forward like a locomotive. But in practice, synchronization issues plagued the duo from day one. The fluid couplings, meant to soften shifts, often slipped under load, causing erratic power delivery. Overheating became routine in hot climates, with engines straining against the bus's hefty 28,000-pound curb weight. Mechanics noted unusual wear on seals and bearings, far quicker than in Greyhound's reliable single-engine fleets like the PD 4104. Passengers might not have noticed at first, but drivers grumbled about the extra vigilance required, constantly monitoring gauges to prevent total shutdowns. And as fleets expanded to all 1,001 units by 1956, including that symbolic extra bus for good measure, the problems multiplied, turning isolated glitches into widespread headaches, roadside realities, early breakdowns, and driver struggles. Those early mechanical woes quickly escalated into full-blown crises on the road, shattering the illusion of reliability. Drivers reported jerky transitions between gears, especially when climbing grades in the Rockies or Appalachians, where the twin engines struggled to maintain momentum with a full complement of 43 passengers and luggage. One infamous incident involved a Scenicruiser grinding to a halt midway up a California incline, stranding travelers for hours under the sun while a replacement bus rushed in. Fluid leaks from the couplings dripped onto hot exhausts, creating smoky hazards that alarmed crews. Transmission clunks echoed through the cabin, jolting riders from their seats and prompting complaints to Greyhound's headquarters. Statistics painted a grim picture. By late 1955, nearly 88% of breakdowns tied directly to the powertrain, far exceeding projections. Parts failures, like worn-out clutches and seized pistons, sidelined buses for days, disrupting tightly scheduled routes from New York to Los Angeles. Greyhound's maintenance teams, accustomed to simpler models, found themselves overwhelmed, lacking specialized tools for the intricate setup. Training programs rolled out hastily, but many veteran drivers resisted, preferring the straightforward 4-speed manuals of older coaches. Passengers, initially enchanted by the views, began sharing stories of delays, missed connections, spoiled vacations that tarnished the bus's shine. Whispers spread in depots. Was this innovative marvel actually a rushed experiment pushed into service before ironing out the kinks? Cracks in the foundation, structural flaws exposed. Beyond the engines, structural vulnerabilities emerged that threatened not just performance, but safety itself, adding a layer of urgency to the growing debacle. The monocoque body, a lightweight shell without a traditional frame, relied on stressed skin for strength, but cracks soon appeared around the expansive rear windows and lower deck joints. Vibration from the uneven power delivery exacerbated these fissures, allowing water intrusion that rusted internal supports. In rainy regions like the Pacific Northwest, buses returned from runs with damp carpets and foggy interiors, hinting at leaks that could compromise electrical systems. One report detailed a crack propagating along the upper deck, forcing an emergency weld during a layover. Greyhound engineers traced some issues to the 3-axle design, where the added length distributed weight unevenly, stressing the rear bogie on rough roads. The air suspension, innovative for its time, occasionally deflated under heavy loads, dropping the bus inches and scraping undercarriages. Safety concerns mounted as inspectors flagged potential fatigue in critical areas, leading to fleet-wide inspections that pulled dozens of units offline. Passengers remained blissfully unaware of the risks, but behind the scenes, memos flew between Greyhound and GM, debating liability for these unforeseen defects. The bus's iconic humpback silhouette, meant to evoke speed and modernity, now symbolized fragility, as quick fixes like reinforcement plates became standard but failed to stem the tide. Maintenance mayhem, shortages, and escalating chaos. The maintenance nightmare deepened as part shortages and inadequate support turned depots into battlegrounds of frustration. Greyhound's network spanned 48 states, demanding a steady supply chain, but GM's production couldn't keep pace with the failure rate. Couplings and engine components sat on backorder for weeks, leaving buses idle in lots while routes ran short-handed. Mechanics improvised with jury-rigged repairs, swapping parts from wrecked units. 22 Scenicruisers met early ends in accidents, their salvage becoming lifelines for the fleet. Training gaps widened the chaos. The unique transmission required skills not taught in standard programs, leading to botched overhauls that compounded issues. Costs skyrocketed, with overtime and expedited shipping eating into profits during bus travel's golden era. Passenger feedback looped back negative, with surveys noting discomfort from frequent stops and unreliable air conditioning tied to engine woes. Greyhound's image, built on dependability, took hits in newspapers, where headlines decried the cruiser that couldn't. Internal audits revealed availability rates dipping below 70%, far from the 90+ expected. In a desperate bid, some divisions experimented with modifications, like enhanced cooling fans, but these band-aids only delayed the inevitable reckoning. Corporate clash. The feud between Greyhound and GM. Tensions finally boiled over into a public feud between Greyhound and GM, exposing raw corporate animosities that shocked the industry. By mid-1956, with production halted after 1,001 units, Greyhound demanded fixes under warranty, accusing GM of design shortcuts to meet deadlines. GM countered that improper maintenance was to blame, igniting a lawsuit that dragged through courts, seeking millions in damages. Details leaked. Greyhound had pushed for the twin engine setup despite warnings, while GM skimped on testing prototypes in real-world conditions. In a dramatic escalation, Greyhound shipped one faulty bus to Europe for a Mercedes-Benz engine trial, a public snub that humiliated GM and sparked rumors of international intrigue. Industry insiders gossiped about backroom deals gone sour, with Loewy's original vision diluted by cost-cutting. The dispute halted further collaborations, straining GM's bus division, already facing competition from Eagle and MCI. Greyhound CEO publicly lamented the experimental burden, while GM defended the innovation as ahead of its time. Settlements remained hushed, but the rift lingered, influencing future contracts and designs across the sector. Desperate measures, the massive rebuild effort. Desperation peaked with the monumental rebuild program in 1961 to 1962, a last-ditch effort to salvage the fleet at staggering expense. Marmon Harrington, a specialist in conversions, took on 979 buses, excluding the 22 lost to wrecks for a comprehensive gutting. Out came the troublesome twins, replaced by a single Detroit diesel 8 volts 7.1 V8, delivering 318 horsepower through a reliable 4-speed Spicer manual transmission. This swap eliminated synchronization woes, boosting efficiency and simplifying drives. Structural reinforcements bolted onto crack-prone areas, with new flooring and refreshed interiors to address wear. Each bus spent weeks in the shop, emerging as the Super Scenicruiser, with improved brakes and suspension tweaks. The price tag? Over $13 million, equivalent to roughly $130 million today, funded by Greyhound amid shareholder grumbles. Logistics were epic. Buses shuttled to facilities in waves, minimizing downtime, while temporary fleets filled gaps. Drivers retrained on the new setup, praising the smoother shifts and reduced breakdowns. Yet, the overhaul wasn't flawless. Some electrical gremlins persisted, and the added weight from reinforcements slightly hampered fuel economy. Still, it breathed new life into the icons, extending service into the 1,970 seconds. Lingering shadows, post-rebuild problems, and industry fallout. Even after the rebuild, nagging issues haunted the Scenicruiser, underscoring the limits of retrofits and masking original sins. Cracks reappeared in high-mileage units, demanding ongoing welds and patches that stretched budgets thin. The single engine, while better, overheated in extreme conditions, echoing old complaints on desert runs. By the late 1,960 seconds, as air travel boomed and interstates favored cars, Greyhound phased them out, selling many to smaller operators or for conversions into RVs. Industry fallout was profound. GM's bus reputation suffered, prompting a shift to simpler models like the Buffalo series. Greyhound diversified suppliers, wary of exclusive deals. Enthusiasts later romanticized the era, but veterans recalled the toll lost revenue, eroded trust that nearly capsized the company during bus travel's decline. Modern echoes, recent speculations, and lasting legacy. In recent years, the Scenicruiser's legacy has sparked fresh intrigue among historians and online communities, fueling speculations about buried truths. Forums and social media buzz with theories. Did GM conceal prototype failures to secure the contract? Or did Greyhound ignore warnings for marketing hype? As of 2025, enthusiasts on platforms like X are sharing photos of restored models, including a rare 1955 hybrid fused with a 1949 General American Aero coach, blending retro styles and custom projects that turn heads at events. One post from September 2025 highlights a converted Scenicruiser turned into a house on wheels, complete with 2-level windows and futuristic lines, speculating it as a mid-century art piece. Another discusses its peculiar design, noting the switch from twins to a single engine, while videos circulate framing the bus as a shocking disaster in YouTube Shorts. Even one described as a 90-second psychedelic trip aboard a 1954 model. Restorations draw crowds, like the Pacific Bus Museum's example, and sales of survivors like the very first 1954 unit listed for over $500,000 in 2024 highlight its cult status. Some whisper about lost prototypes stashed away, holding secrets to alternate designs, while others debate if the catastrophe sped the influx of foreign buses, reshaping America's roads. A 2024 Hemmings article revisits the story, adding to the online dissections of this engineering enigma. Lessons from the road, a cautionary tale of innovation. Looking back, The Scenicruiser saga, from its glamorous debut and twin-engine hype to the breakdowns, corporate clashes, and massive rebuild, weaves ambition with hubris, a stark reminder that innovation often courts peril. It ferried millions across a booming nation, etching itself into cultural memory through movies, music, and even toys. Yet its hidden flaws expose the vulnerabilities of rushing progress without thorough testing. Today, as electric vehicles and autonomous tech promise new horizons in mobility, one can't help but ponder what unseen pitfalls might lurk in our latest engineering dreams, ready to turn triumph into turmoil. If you followed this wild story, ridden a Scenicruiser back in the day, or have your own tales from that era of American roadways, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and keep the conversation rolling. And if these untold histories of mechanical mishaps and comebacks get your gears turning, smash that subscribe button right now for more gripping deep dives. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next revelation. Trust me, the road ahead is full of surprises you won't want to skip.